All right, everybody, welcome back into the Auburn Live show. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Special show today with the Executive Director of On to Victory, Brett Whiteside, and Auburn football quarterback Payton Thorne. Brett, Payton, what's up, fellas? How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us.
How's it going? Appreciate
It's
you
good, man.
having me
It's
on.
good. Spring ball's good, rolling along. Glad to have you guys on and talk a little bit about On to Victory and all that good stuff and how it's going. I guess real quick before we get into that, Peyton, spring ball, how you feeling? How's it going? You didn't get to do it last year, man. It's got to feel nice to go through this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be here for the spring. Definitely warmer weather during the spring, so I'm a big fan of that, getting to practice outside. But things are going well. Excited about what we got right now, and obviously we'll be adding some guys in the summer as well. But really excited about our new transfers and our new coaching staff. I feel like we're meshing well so far, and it's a work in progress. It's early still, but I think things are going well.
Yeah, we'll get back into some of that in a little bit. But let's talk about On to Victory and NIL and all that good stuff, Brett. I guess sort of give people a quick little maybe state of the union
Sure.
on how you guys are doing. I guess I don't know, man. What are we 2.5 years? Like I don't know I can't remember exactly when you started, but how do you feel like things are going? Where are you at entering 2024? Do you think with the collective?
Yeah, absolutely. We're coming up on 2 years. 2 years this summer. We've signed athletes from 16 different sports, 9 full team deals at Auburn. Over 400 athletes have received an NIL deal from On to Victory since inception. So really proud of that. We currently have over 200 athletes actively on contract. So I think that's a misconception that a lot of fans may have, is that this is just a collective to support football or basketball or specific sports that way. But we're a collective that we want to support all sports. We give our fan base the opportunity to choose what sport or sports they would like to support, and so that's kind of our mission right now. It's been great to get more folks involved. We had a membership campaign, a membership drive campaign towards the end of 23. We have just over about 3,000 people involved, which is great. But it's truly our vision that if On to Victory is going to be a preeminent NIL collective, it's going to take a lot more of the Auburn fan base to get involved. So that's still our message.
Yeah, I guess what would have been maybe the pleasant surprises or things that have popped up that have been hurdles in just the way the NIL landscape is shifting and changing. Like it's probably been a crazy 2 years, but what are some things that you're happy about and that were pleasant surprises? And then what are some areas that you really want to focus on and maybe grow On to Victory in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the support of the Auburn family. I mean, I'm proud to be an Auburn man, and everyone that works On to Victory have an affiliation with Auburn in some way, and we just want to be able to support our athletes. I've been really impressed and proud to see the level of support we've had so far. And although we've not had as many people participate as we want to, we've been able to support our student athletes at a really high level. I really feel like we are able to be one of the top collectives in our league and among our peers. We can see off in the distance that without additional support, that can definitely fall off. I have been pleased to see that there's some shifts that are coming in college athletics that's going to allow some additional opportunities for our student athletes. I mean, I think let's just be really clear. Name, image, and likeness is a really good thing for these student athletes. It's a very good thing. It's a great thing that they have these opportunities. And for fans to be able to be directly involved. I mean, in no other way can a fan be more directly connected with a football team or a basketball team or a softball team than through name, image, and likeness support. We're excited about A-Day coming up in a couple of weeks, and On to Victory members will have an opportunity to meet some of these new players for the very first time. And so I love the way that name, image, and likeness brings fans together with the athletes. So that's been something that's been a lot of fun to be a part of. Challenges on the horizon. We don't have a crystal ball. We know that it's going to look different. We don't know what those rules are going to be. And a lot of people always ask me, why get involved now? Why don't we just wait until there's a revenue share model, until they become employees? And all those things may happen, but it's not going to happen right now. And, I guess that would be well and good if we decided we didn't want to win this upcoming season. But we know that's not true. And so we've really got to carry this, provide these opportunities now until athletics and the university and the conference and NCAA can support these athletes directly.
Payton, I'm sure NIL, you started your career and I don't know where, it's sort of been coming, but I don't know where NIL was in terms of how realistic it was, at the time you started career. It's probably pretty interesting to start your college career in one place, and then within your time here comes NIL, here comes these opportunities, the collective, and it shifts while you're still in college. What's your experience been like going from no NIL to NIL, within the time you've been in college, and just sort of learning how to manage all that?
Yeah, I think it's been great, and I think I've had a very unique experience being, like you said, a guy who came in without NIL. I was recruited, and there was no money involved when I was recruited. Nobody talked about that. Nobody even thought about it. And my freshman year, there was nothing really said about it. We used to do the papers in school about why college athletes should get paid and stuff like that as a writing project. But I never thought it would actually happen, at least not when I was playing. So I remember going into my going to my third year in the summer. I remember we had a not necessarily emergency meeting, but a random meeting in the summer, and they said, "Hey, you guys can be able to get paid next week." And we had not heard anything about it, so we were obviously very surprised and excited about what that might look like. I think it was really interesting, the timing, how it lined up for me, and I was able to be the starting quarterback that next year, and we had a lot of success. So we got to reap the benefits of that, and so that was definitely fun.
What are I guess take people through a little bit of what you're required to do as an On to Victory student athlete. What in a day, a week, a month, what are just examples of how you stay involved that people have no idea? Like, people maybe don't see, maybe they see some of it, but what is it? Just take people through sort of what it's like to go through that and be a member of that collective.
Yeah, you'll have to come in, once a month usually, and sign some thank you cards, or write something to some people, maybe do a video or two, sign some footballs, some helmets, stuff like that, and then also do some in-person appearances, as well as something like this on a podcast, or stuff like that. So but there definitely is stuff that you have to do, and that you're able to do, and you get to meet people and get connected to other people as well. So nothing too crazy, but it's definitely something that you have to do pretty much every month.
One of the things I'm curious about is, I think fans, with the emergence of NIL, I think fans, they still view you obviously as a student athlete, as a college athlete, but they sort of shift a little bit. Like, can I view this guy like a pro now? Like, I'm just fans are like, what are my expectations for a student athlete now that they're getting paid? Can I view them like a professional, or can I critique them like a professional, or praise them like a professional, or whatever? How has your approach, I guess, changed to being a student athlete, but having these obligations, fulfilling these obligations, being paid? Do you feel any more like a pro than you did? Like, I guess, than when you started your career? Like, you're still in college and you want to enjoy that. How do you kind of approach? Do you feel like you've got more on your shoulders? Just like, how do you kind of take it all in, I guess?
Yeah, the first thing I think of is how, when you get to college, your goal is to get to the pros. And you hear people around you all the time talk about practice like a pro, prepare like a pro, and go about your business like you're professional. So that's already ingrained in you when you get to college. And that's something you strive to do, is all those things like a pro, And so for me, it is different. It has you thinking about money a little bit differently, because not necessarily be obsessing over it, but just if you have money, you think about, what am I doing with this? I'm not just going to go blow it on a car, or on the nicest clothes, and on some crazy vacation. You want to take care of it. At least I do, and I want to set myself up for success in the future in different areas of life. And so it definitely adds a a different element of thinking about it, because normally, old college football, you weren't even thinking about it. It was just, how can I get to the next level, and then the money will come then. So that thought process is still the same, because the real money and the real benefits are at the next level. That's where the really big money is at, and the really great opportunities. And obviously that's your dream since you were young anyway. So it is a little bit different than it used to be, but for the most part, I feel like my mindset's the same.
Yeah, Brett, I was going to ask you what in terms of compliance and things like that. I guess, gosh, there's got to be a million. There's got to be a million things that you got to think about in terms of keeping everything compliant. There's
Sure.
probably a million papers that got to be signed, and T's crossed and I's dotted. I guess, how are you guys making sure everybody stays compliant within the rules? And are there any clear guidelines from the NCAA still? Are you just like, we're going to do everything? Are you going overboard almost because you're not sure what you're supposed to do and not do? How's
Yeah,
the
good question.
part of it?
Right now there's limited guidance really from the NCAA on what can and cannot be done. But one of those is very clear: is this is not a pay-for-play situation. The athletes actually have to perform services. Payton was talking about the services that he's required to perform. So he is paid for those services, and not necessarily, for athletic performance. A contract cannot be based off athletic performance, can't be based off the number of touchdowns he throws. It's based off of the number of appearances he has, the number of social media posts he makes. That's how contracts are set up. One of the things that we take very seriously, again, all being Auburn people and understanding that if the collective acts impermissibly, it ultimately impacts the university. The university is the one who's going to get the violation and have issues from it, repercussions from that. So we take it very seriously. JJ Arminio in our office does a great job of tracking on fulfillment requirements. So again, within their contracts, they have certain things that have to be done. So JJ tracks all of that, manages it. When the guys come in, guys or girls come in, and they sign their autographs, we document that that's been completed. When they complete a social media post, we document that that's been completed. And we do probably go a little bit overboard, but we want to protect Auburn University. If the NCAA ever accused us of paying athletes and not requiring them to perform services, we would have great documentation to be able to show them that that's not accurate.
What do you make of some of the recent court rulings with Tennessee getting involved and stuff like that? Like, what do you that's sort of been interesting to follow. Is there anything to take from that big picture, or was that?
Yeah, just to give everyone additional context. So a memo came out last January that basically said collectives, you're boosters, and you should not be involved in the recruiting process, up to the point that members of the collective really should not even be having any conversation with a recruit or his parents or his representation. It's something that I disagreed with the whole time. We complied with it. We've not had any conversation with recruits or parents since that January 1st memo came out of last year. But I think it did a disservice to young men and women and their parents to not have a full understanding of the services that the collectives do provide. I think that if we have the opportunity to sit down with a family and talk to them about how we are structured, how we provide services that other collectives may not, to where, we have an office right here on campus. We have 7 full-time staff here to support him. We provide tax education sessions. We withhold quarterly estimations for them, remit that to the IRS and to the state, so that as independent contractors, they don't have a big tax bill coming April 15th that they have not properly prepared for. We set that up for them throughout the year. We have financial wellness sessions that we have the athletes required to go through. Ronnie Brown recently did one for a lot of our athletes, and appreciate him for doing that. So we provide a lot of services that I think, as a family is trying to make a decision, because let's be clear, name, image, and likeness is a decision point when a family is deciding where a young man or woman is going to attend school, whether we like it or not. All of the other things, I believe, are truly a part of the recruitment process. I want to go to a place, get a great education. I can have a great career, 100% job placement after graduation, can be coached by a great group of coaches, can go play at the next level. but name, image, and likeness is also a part of their decision making. And so to be able to have those conversations directly with the collective, that became permissible a couple of weeks ago following that court injunction. And so that's really the biggest thing that came from that. We've already began to participate in that and to notify these young men and women how our collective supports our student athletes.
What are some things that might be different this year, Brett, about, going in, thinking about next fall? If somebody hasn't joined the collective or has, what's kind of coming down the pipeline in terms of maybe whatever involvement or some extra things they're going to get? What do you sort of have planned? Or it could be too early. I might be putting you on the spot. You probably
No, you're fine.
Through that. Yeah.
Yeah, we believe that right now it is our opportunity to provide fans with different ways to get engaged, right? Whatever that might look like. We have the War Eagle Plus bundle if you want to be able to have behind the scenes exclusive content. I think that group has done a fantastic job of providing some really cool content on their platform. You can do that by being a member of Own the Victory. We're providing events that folks can come interact with our athletes, whether it's A-Day, whether it's Fan Day coming up in August, whether it's tailgates this season. By being involved in Own the Victory, you have opportunities to do that. We have opportunities for business owners to get involved where you can sponsor these athletes. These athletes can provide you with marketing materials for your business. And so we just see our role as providing opportunities for folks to get involved in whatever way, shape, or form that may look like.
Payton, one of the things you mentioned that I think is interesting is sort of the locker room aspect of it. And, we don't have to dive into it too much, but, it's one of the things that we've heard Coach Freeze talk about is just, building this team culture in the middle of a changing landscape of players, earning money and sort of thinking about their families and thinking about their future and thinking about sort of themselves as a business. And it's just all new. I mean, you're still sort of in this in-between thing where it's you're in the old school way of thinking about college and sort of building a team, but there's NIL going on. How have you sort of seen that change the last couple of years? How do you feel like the locker room handles things? How's the culture? What are the difficulties? What are the positives of sort of, I guess, trying to deal with all that, and how each player like yourself and others are viewing themselves within the team, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's something that you didn't have to deal with at all the past, or before NIL. But to be honest, I really don't know what my teammates make. And so guys do a good job, I think, of not broadcasting that. I'm of the thought process that, it's none of my business what you're making. And what's that going to help me do if I know how much money you're making? I'm not going to go and try to negotiate my contract off somebody else's. That's not my job. I'm not the one negotiating the contract. So I leave that to, the guy representing me. And, I really believe strongly in him, and I think he does a great job. And so, I leave that to him, and I take the advice from him and what he has to say. I think that when guys stay concerned about football and their performance, everything follows after that.
Yeah, and one of the positives I think from NIL, and you can speak from your experience, you can speak from maybe talking to other players, not just on your team, other teams, just guys in football. But I think that a lot of the knowledge that you probably gain, and man, I would have think about in college, if you could be in your position and start earning money and learning how to handle money and having these people help you, I think that's an amazing experience. What I guess how big a deal do you think that's been for you or other friends you talk to, where you're getting a ton of real world experience in terms of managing money, thinking about the future, that I mean, before now, no college kid is thinking about that. I think that's a positive for NIL. I think that's a big positive, that it's sort of, if you're going to be a part of that and take part of that as a student athlete, you're having to learn these things, and you're having to think about how you might want to handle the money and what you might want to do with it and what the future might look like. How has that been for you? And do you feel like, man, that's a blessing to be able to sort of get that knowledge now? And maybe a lot of college, athletes in the past didn't think about that.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's extremely valuable. I've learned a ton since NIL became a thing, and since I've had a lot more money than I had in my first 2 years. I tell people that, my redshirt freshman year, I had a slip of paper on our counter in our place of an IOU sheet from golf. I was in debt. So when we got paid our stipend check, I had to be dishing out some money. So things have changed quite a bit. But, with that came a lot of learning. I'm blessed to have two amazing parents, and my dad, before he was a full-time coach, he was a financial advisor. So he has friends in that area still. And then my mom is a CPA. So she deals with people's money every day. And so, I've gotten a lot of great advice from them, and I've been able to talk to some people and get in contact with some people that, handle money. And I've learned a ton, way more than I would have if NIL wasn't a thing. I probably still would have no idea about money to this day. So I definitely see that as a blessing, and it's opened my eyes to, a different part of the world. And I definitely have a lot of interest in that part of things. And, getting to see how your money can work for you and how you can put your money to work in different ways. It has really changed the way I see the world, honestly. And it's really interesting. And it's something that you don't learn in school. Like, you take a personal finance class and stuff like that, but they don't, they just tell you how to, put your money in a savings account or something like that. They don't show you how you can really make money. And so definitely have a lot of interest in that. And like I said, I've been able to sit down with some people that have been super successful in those areas and learn from them. And without NIL, I never would have been in those situations to begin with. And I never would have had the interest to reach out to those people and sit down with them. So it's been really interesting. And I've, read a couple books about it, and I'm still new, I'm still young. So I'm looking for more advice as time goes on.
Yeah, man, I think that's so valuable. Before we get out of here, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit about spring ball. You guys are coming up on A-Day. Gosh, man, what are we, 2 weeks out, I guess, or less? I don't even know. It's flying by. How's it been? I know I asked you earlier, new staff, right? Derek Nix is involved. Ken Austin's more involved, a little bit different vibe with the coaching staff. You learned a lot in year one. We heard a lot about in the offseason about kind of trying to build more of a team accountability. And Hugh Freeze has talked about that and feels like that's going in the right direction. How has spring been in terms of just vibe, culture compared to the offseason? Do you feel like you're going in the right direction, where you need to be, a long way to go?
Yeah, I definitely feel like we're moving in the right direction. Like you said, that started in January. A group of us got together and just talked about what our vision was and what we wanted and what we needed to change. And, I was only here for last year, and I wasn't even here for the spring. So, I was here for a short time, but I was able to share with the guys of, some of my observations and some of the things I really thought that we needed to change. And, some other guys obviously chimed in on that as well. And a couple guys that have been here for a while were able to speak on what things have been like at Auburn for the past few years, and how things have, some things have changed, but the things that were tripping us up were the same. And so, we made a big focus on getting those things out and weeding those things out, and also implementing the things that we want to see. I believe that, if you want something to change, you need to emphasize the good things that you want to keep seeing, not, hey, stop this, stop this, stop this. Those things end up, making their way out when you focus on, we're doing this, this, and this. And, I think we've been doing those things. It's not going to change overnight. We had to stay focused on it. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that right now. And then on the field, things are going well. Like you said, Coach Nix has been great having him working with us. It's been really fun getting to hear from him. He's a great human. And then he's also, a really good coach. And, I've been loving everything that I've been hearing from him and the things that he's emphasizing. And, I think that we're really practicing at a high level right now in terms of intensity and the execution. It'll come. It's early, new offense, new defense as well. But I think the vibe is high, and guys are really excited right now.
And I was going to ask you about Ken Austin. We spoke to him a couple of days ago, and that's the first extensive conversation I've had with him. I came away super impressed. I mean, just really, really awesome guy, and how he talked about the game, just sort of how he explained everything. It was just a really cool Q&A. How has it been with him? Obviously, he was super involved last year. He just wasn't the quarterback's coach, but we know he was really involved last year. He gets to be a little bit more involved being on the field. What's your relationship like with him, and how cool is it to have him even more involved this year?
It's been great. Coach Austin was a huge reason why I decided to come to Auburn. My meeting with him on my recruiting visit with my dad, it really sold us. And, I've learned a lot from him, and we're going to continue to keep learning. I feel like we have a really good relationship, and, I'm excited for it to keep growing. Obviously, like you said, with him on the field, he was on the field last year. He just didn't have a headset for most of the year, so he wasn't, listed as a full-time coach or whatever, people call it.
Yeah.
But now obviously he is, and he's able to be in charge of the meetings, which has been great. Just his past and his experience with football and obviously quarterback play is huge. And, it's been great, like I said, learning from him. And, I'm excited for where things are going to go here in the future.
All right, Brett, let's get out of here on a pitch, man. Let's get some people.
Absolutely.
Let's get people signed up. Why should they be involved if they've been on the fence? If they've been, or if they're a part of it and they're thinking, okay, are they, should I keep doing it? I'm getting into 2024. Should I keep doing it? Why should people continue to be a part of On Victory? I think it's easy. You listen to somebody like Payton and you listen to him talk. And I mean, I would want to support student athletes like Payton, but what's sort of your pitch to people to get people, keep giving and keep being a part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one thing, On to Victory is an organization that's ran by Auburn men and women. Our passion is to support these student athletes at a very high level, but we can't do it without the support of our fans. By being a part of On to Victory, you're having a direct impact on Auburn men and women. You're providing them with opportunities. Payton did a great job of talking about the things that he's learned, the things that have prepared him for life after football. And if you're financially able to support these men and women, you can see the positive impact that it's going to have individually on them. But secondly, the positive impact that it's going to have on these sports programs. We have 21 sports at Auburn. They're all competing. They all want to win championships, but name, image, and likeness opportunities for their student athletes is very, very important for their success. As we're working through going into football season, as we've just finished up basketball season, these sports are going through the recruitment process. And let's call it what it is. Name, image, and likeness opportunities are very important as student athletes are trying to make a decision on where they're going. It's not the sole reason. I think our coaches do a really nice job of making sure that we're getting the right fit. I think coaches know what's going to fit at Auburn, what's going to make an Auburn man or woman. But name, image, and likeness is going to be something that's going to be asked about. And to date, I was talking with a collective operator. He operates for about 15 different collectives. And over 98% of all funds that have gone to student athletes, at least through his payment gateway, have come from individual donations and from folks who are part of a membership like ours, with only about 2% actually coming from businesses. So that shows you right there how the fans being involved is really important. You can go to owntovictory.com. We have different levels of membership and perks that come with each level. The number one thing that we would just ask is that everyone get involved in some way. Even if it's just to be a part of the Warriorville Plus bundle, just be involved in some way and know that you're making a difference for these Auburn student athletes.
Sounds good to me, man. I think people will join. We'll make sure and put the link on auburnlive.com and we'll keep talking about it. I think it's awesome. Payton, appreciate you joining us. Brett, appreciate it. As always, we'll do it again. We'll do it again soon. Go to ontovictory.com, be a part of them. Go to auburnlive.com, subscribe to us as well. That'd be great too. All right, for Justin, Brett, and Payton, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.